Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Jack here. I have a story that I wanted to share with you guys. And, I kind of know that it's been a little while since I was on here. Actually been focusing a little bit more on producing TikTok videos, only a little bit more than what I have been with YouTube. But I promise you I'm not going anywhere, and I do intend to continue sharing here on my channel, and of course that's what I'm here for today. So I was having this conversation with my best friend on the weekend, and just kind of sharing with her some revelations that I had an epiphany of sorts that I'd had a few days back. And she was really insistent that, like, I really needed to share. I needed to talk about what happened. I needed to talk about my experiences because other people would benefit. So I'm here following her advice, and I'm going to share it with you guys. All right. So I have talked a little bit before about, how I was introduced to tarot by my grandmother at 11, how I was introduced to, the New Age section of the bookstore by my grandmother, again, when I was 11. I've talked about how I found and got into learning and practicing Reiki and shamanic practices, and, I've talked about a lot of it. But I never really got into, like, my religious history. And I'm told that it would be hugely beneficial to other people to kind of talk about the way that has gone for me. Okay. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. All right, what are you chewing on? That is not for you. That is mine. So, sorry, puppy. All right, so I was raised by a mother who believed in God, went to church when she was growing up, went to church throughout when she first joined the military, basically right up until she met my dad. My stepdad was raised Catholic, but is a lapsed Catholic, has not attended the entire time I've known him. So again, not really a lot of exposure. So when I was 19 or so, 18, 19 years old, I realized that witchcraft was more than just magic. There was a lot more to it if I wanted there to be. Okay. And of course I'm talking about Wicca, right? I was a huge fan of Buffy. I was had a massive crush on Willow, even though at that point in my life I would never have admitted that. And I was really, really into the show. Okay, really, really into it. It was always nice that, the characters were inclusive the way that they were, and I really started, like, exploring a little bit more. Now, keep in mind, okay, like, I had already been exposed to witchcraft as a practice, okay, but I had never been exposed to Wicca as a religion, all right, so it was a little bit different, all right, and there was a lot that I needed to learn because it was a religion, right, and I had only ever been, I had only ever really been exposed to the magic of it, not the religion of it, so I wasn't exposed to Wicca, right, I was exposed to witchcraft. And they are different. Regardless of what you might hear from other people, they are different. You can be a witch and practice witchcraft without actually being Wiccan. Okay? It's not a necessity. And not every Wiccan would say, yes, I'm a witch. Okay? Not all of them will like that label. So it is really individual. Okay, I want to point that out to begin with, because, like, recently I've been reading things that say, like, oh, well, if you practice witchcraft, you are a Wiccan. Well, no, that's not the way that it works, right? If you practice Wicca, you are automatically a witch. No, you're not automatically a witch. Okay, that's not the way it works, all right? So, anyways, just a little side note there. So, one of the things that happened with me is that when I was 19, like I said, I did kind of encounter Wicca 100%, and I got really, really heavy into it very, very quickly. I was solitary. I did not know anybody else that I could even fathom practicing with. My ex-boyfriend at the time, we actually got back together and got married and you know, whatever, but like at the time he was my ex-boyfriend, and that was the point where I started exploring this, because like I was free to explore whatever I wanted, and nobody was going to be able to say no, you can't do that, because it was just me. It was just me and my kids, and nobody could say anything. So I really dug deep, and I really got very heavily into the practice. And this is when my skills as a tarot reader started to develop. This is when I started learning how to cast spells properly. I learned about things like how to cast a circle and what different colors of candles, for example, are used for, things like this. So like details that I did not learn in my witchcraft practice to begin with, because frankly, all I needed was a candle, and it didn't matter what color the candle was as long as it was a candle. And, you know, like I did things, but things like color or herbs, for example, they were not things that I incorporated. Okay, not at the time. I mean, I do now, but I didn't then. So I got really heavily into learning Wicca, and it turned out that two of the girls that I worked with at that point, who were a couple years younger than me, but nothing too serious, they were also interested in learning. So the three of us kind of got together and started like learning together. And they decided I had to be in charge because I was the oldest, I guess. But you know, either way, it was an experience, right? Because I'm learning and I'm teaching them at the same time. And that actually continued being like the structure of my life for the next 7 or 8 years, where as I was learning, I was also teaching other people in my environment. So it wasn't just those two friends, because shortly after that, I actually ended up moving to the province that I live in now, a different city, but province I live in now. And I think I talked a little bit about my friend Donna that I actually met because I found her shop just around the corner from my house. And it was this eye-opening experience walking into her shop for the first time. Not to mention having a conversation with somebody who knew more about witchcraft than I did. Because at that point, I wasn't meeting anybody that knew more than I did. I wasn't meeting anybody that knew what Wicca even was without me having to tell them first. So it was definitely an experience. So there was this thing that I kept running up against while I was practicing Wicca. And this is where I started running into problems. Okay. So I have always been this very calm, very, okay, calm, maybe not, but I've always been very withdrawn, very quiet and anxious when I first meet people. And it's always been difficult for me to kind of step outside my comfort zone because of that anxiety. Sorry, I got to get something from the dog. One sec. All right. So I stayed Wiccan from about 1999 until about 2005, 2006. And at that point, I was dealing with some issues at this point. Okay. I had been having some difficulties with with an ex. Okay. And now this is an ex that wanted to get back together, and we had not been together for a very long time. But he wanted to get back together. He wanted to make things work. He was really getting on my case all the time. And all I wanted was for him to leave me alone. So I started talking to my friend, Donna, about like what avenues I had available to me as far as like binding or banishing or anything like that. And I was told that because it would force him to go against his will, it's doing him harm. So I was not allowed as a Wiccan to bind or banish anybody. And that really bothered me. It stuck with me, but it really bothered me because I didn't understand how protecting myself had to take a back seat to somebody else potentially harming me because I wasn't allowed to do anything to protect myself. So I really struggled with that. And I ended up leaving Wicca, at least that was the understanding. I ended up leaving Wicca, and I turned to multiple other different practices kind of along the way. So I have explored multiple different practices. Okay, I have explored Druidry in depth to the point that I actually joined the Order of Bards, Ovates, and Druids, and so I've also been a part of another Druid order whose name is escaping me for some reason, as well as ADF. Don't ask me to pronounce the words in Gaelic because I can't. So that's an American group. OBOD is based in Britain, and there was another Druid group that I was a part of that's based in the States as well, and like it was a part of it. I kept exploring it. All right. So I've also explored heathenry. So Norse paganism, Norse religion as a whole. So looking at, working with Thor and Odin and Freya and, Loki and like all of them within their own framework. And that seemed to go really well for me. And it really resonated with me for a long time because of the emphasis on ancestors and like working with and honoring your ancestors. And it just felt like it was a good option. It was a really good option for me. At least that's what I thought. The thing is, personality-wise, I don't really fit. I'm not a bold in-your-face kind of a person. I don't speak up for myself unless I am forced to. It's not something that I generally choose to do unless it's a necessity. And even then, it's a struggle. So that was definitely a problem. I was really into Cometicism for a while. So, and I think I've talked about that a little bit on here, at least. I was part of Kemetic Orthodoxy, and technically I still am. But one of the same things kept happening with all of it. And that's that I just didn't really feel like I was really a part of the group. I didn't really feel like I was a part of the community that I was trying to be a part of. I never felt like I belonged. I always felt like there was something different about me that I just didn't feel like it fit. I have explored voodoo. I have explored hoodoo, which are two different practices. One is a religion, one is a magical practice. They can link together, but they typically don't because they're not actually related to each other, at least not the way that we think of it. I did explore Christianity. Okay, like I actually did. I explored Islam, and I've explored Judaism, and I have explored Hinduism. I started developing a relationship with Kali. I started developing a relationship with Santa Muerte. I started developing relationships with multiple different deities. I've explored, Celtic Reconstructionism. I've explored so many different things, so many different paths. And then last week we had we entered Aquarius. Pluto entered Aquarius on November 20th, which was just a week ago today, that it actually entered, that Pluto actually entered Aquarius. And it's going to stay there for a really long time. And I was watching videos on TikTok, I think, and this video pops up saying like, hey, the whole Pluto Aquarius thing is coming up. It's right away, and it's happening today or tomorrow or whatever. And if you are one of these zodiacs, you need to pay attention. Okay, so, well, they're talking about our sun signs, of course. And Leo was the first one on the list, and I'm like, okay, so apparently this is going to heavily affect me. So what did I do? I reach out to my best friend, who is, the astrologer. And I said, look, I'm hearing that this is like a big deal, so I need to get more information. Like, talk to me about this. Like, what is it that's actually happening, and what is it I can actually expect? So we started looking at like Pluto and where Pluto falls in my birth chart and where Pluto falls in my chart now. and how that has changed and what that means for me as far as like where it sits in like my houses and you know what has happened. Pluto is, for me, it sits in my spirituality. It sits in my ability to research and find the right path and to express myself spiritually and to to live spiritually. Why is my computer freezing? So I wasn't sure what exactly that was going to mean, but before all of that, okay, like right on the 20th, I had this moment of revelation. Okay, so I have been stuck for years now. Years, like easily, it has been 20 years since all of my confusion started. It's been 20 years since I was told, no, you can't do anything. It's actually been about 22 since I was told you can't do anything to protect yourself because it makes that person go against their will, and that's harming them. And that was what drove me out of Wicca. Okay. Now, I have come to realize that I've actually come full circle. Okay. There's a few things about Wicca that still don't sit perfectly with me. One is the emphasis on duality, the god and the goddess, and both of them are necessary as far as like life goes. And okay, yes, I see that. In order to create life, you need to have male and female, but it doesn't restrict the number of genders that are actually available, that are actually in existence. And so that's something that I kind of need to work out because I am non-binary. So telling me that, you know, male and female are the only things that matter, not a good thing. Okay. Not a good thing. So that's something that I've been struggling with since the other day. But basically what it's boiled down to is that through all of my explorations, all of my journey through other faiths and learning and exposing myself to all of these other paths, all that it has ended up doing is showing me clearly that Wicca is where I belong. And I fought it and I fought it and I fought it because like I would say things like, I don't want to be a part of anything that's like fluffy bunny. I don't want to be told I can't defend myself. And then I came to realize that like by not defending myself, I'm doing harm to myself, which is also not permitted. And anybody can bind or banish anybody else in their life without causing them harm. It's all about the way that you do it. So what I was being told by somebody that I trusted immensely, for me, it didn't work. And for some people, it's also not going to work. And for others, it does. But what ended up happening is that answer forced me to begin exploring other paths to find if there was something else that worked better for me, if there was somewhere else that I was meant to be, if there was a better path for me. And it literally took me 20 years. And I'm not even exaggerating. Like, I'm not even a little bit. It took me 20 years to get to the point that I'm at now, where I can honestly say that I never stopped being Wiccan. I was going through the motions with everything else, but my religious practice, the only thing I have ever actually faithfully practiced, the only thing I've ever faithfully put my thoughts and my goals and my dreams and my belief into has been Wicca. Everything that I have done, I was like waiting for it to live up to some expectation that I had. And it never did. It never lived up to it. And I couldn't figure out why. The thing is that, like, I thought I was doing something wrong. I thought I was missing something. I felt like I was just not belonging, and that I was never going to find where I belonged. But I'd already found where I belonged. I just didn't want to accept it because of the information that I had been given, and like, about defending myself. And it finally occurred to me that it was the wrong thing for me. And it finally occurred to me that I'm allowed to defend myself, as I said. And it finally occurred to me that the reason that I don't feel like I fit anywhere else that I have explored is because I'm not supposed to fit there. I have my path. I have had my path for over 20 years. I've had my path for more than 25 years. And I just didn't want to believe it or accept it or trust that, this is what I was feeling. I rejected it at every turn, and every time I saw someone make a snarky comment about Wicca, I had something to say in response that was along the same lines. But it occurred to me during all of these revelations that, like, I was simply saying the things that I was saying because I was rebelling against it. The same as you find teenagers who are raised in the church and rebel against the church. It was the same idea. It was the same concept of, like, I don't like what you're telling me. I want to go find out what else is out there. But then, I've come full circle. And I really am Wiccan. I really am, deep down inside, this is where I belong. This is what I believe. It's what I've always belonged, where I have always belonged, and what I have always believed. So this journey, even though it took such a long time to kind of get me back here, I am happy. I did not ever think that I would be happy to say that, yes, I am Wiccan. I never thought I would be proud to say that, yes, I am Wiccan. And I am a solitary Wiccan. I don't want a coven. I want nothing. I have no desire for a coven. I am here for myself, and it is very solitary to me because it always has been. Like, yes, I have had friends who shared my faith, but we very, very rarely practiced together. There was maybe one Wheel of the Year cycle where, 4 or 5 of us got together and practiced together. But with the exception of that, and like occasionally being invited to my friend's coven for events, like for Yule, it's always been a solitary thing for me. And I don't feel like I need to do anything differently. I don't feel like I need to run out and join a coven. I don't feel like I need to run out and gain anyone's approval, which is what I was feeling with heathenry. It's what I was feeling with druidry. It's what I was feeling with the Sisterhood of Avalon, or with Santa Muerte's followers, or any of this. I don't feel like I need approval. And I am actually really happy with where things are going for me right now. We have just passed Samhain, which is great because it means, this is a new year for us. And the next step is going to be Yule. And I am actually really, really looking forward to the solstice this year. I am really looking forward to celebrating Yule for the first time in years, in the way that I've always done. And I am so excited and so pleased and so proud of myself. And I've just got so many things that are running through my head and practices that I haven't done in years that I'm just like, I'm so ready to just pick it all up and go. I'm so excited to see where this is going to take me this time. So I do feel like I have come full circle, but I'm in a different place now. And it's more spiral-like than circular. Like, I started out on the outer ring, and I've kind of worked my way around that spiral a few times. And I've come back to the similar positions, but I'm in a slightly different place each time. And now I'm just like, I'm in a good spot. I'm in a really good spot with this, and I'm feeling really, really positive about where this is going to take me. So I am really looking forward to what this next year is going to bring and where it's going to take me. And yeah, I'm not ashamed of the path that I've taken. I was for a long time because, like, why can't I find what works? Why can't I find my place? Why can't I find where I belong? Well, it's because I was literally running from where I belonged for a very, very long time. But I'm not running anymore. And I am happy and I am content and I am absolutely thrilled. And I can't even begin to tell you how excited I am to be able to take these steps moving forward and be able to explore more about, what Wicca means to me now compared to what it meant to me when I was 20. So it's going to be an interesting year coming up, I think, because it's going to take the entire year and a day to get to a point where I am beyond this point, I guess. So it'll be November 21st of next year is the year and a day. So I'm really looking forward to seeing, how this is going to go and what I'm going to learn along the way. And there's a big part of me, and I used to get these every year. Okay. Every year. It was such a big thing for me, such a huge tradition, and I am so excited. Like, I literally just want to run out and go and buy myself a new copy of the Witch's Date book for this year for 2025 that Llewellyn always puts out, because I love them. I got them for years. It was like tradition. I had this big stack of them because I kept them for all of the articles and spells and recipes and stuff that were always kept in them. And I'm like, I just want to go out and kind of get one because it's been such a long time. And I'm really looking forward to what this is going to bring. Like, it just feels like it's such a great experience and place right now for me to be. So realizing how immensely I am actually blending into my background right now. The lighting down here is terrible. I will definitely have to work on that for the next video. So I'm sorry, guys, if you've made it this far. I know I've been rambling quite a bit and it's really dark behind me, but it's not always, I promise. So, I will have more videos coming up. I really do want to explore this a little bit more with you guys. So do keep, an eye out on the channel. If you have not subscribed yet, please do so. And hit the little bell so that you get that notification when a new video does go up. Please like and share the videos as well. I would really, really appreciate that. So that we can kind of see where this is going to go for all of us. So let's start this little community growing. Okay, so for right now, I hope everybody is having a wonderful day. I do need to get back to work. I am on Ornum today. I will drop the link to my Ornum profile in the chat box below. So if you guys are interested, you want to come and, get a reading with me or see, what I'm up to, you'll be able to find me there. So I will make sure to include that as well. For now, I hope, like I said, everybody's having a wonderful, wonderful day. And